President Bashar al-Assad says that Syria is capable of confronting any external aggression thanks to the steadfastness of the Syrian people and their support for their army. And Chairman of the Foreign Policy and National Security Committee at the Iranian Shura Council, Alauddin voices strong opposition to any military aggression against Syria. Lavrov says Washington's claims about Syrian army use of chemical weapons are unconvincing. Good afternoon, this is the news in English from the Syrian Arab television in Damascus. President Bashar al-Assad said that Syria is capable of confronting any external aggression thanks to the steadfastness of the Syrian people and their support for the army. President Assad was speaking during his meeting with Chairman of the Foreign Policy and National Security Committee at the Iranian Shura Council, Alauddin. The President said that Syria is achieving one victory after another until restoring security and stability to the homeland. The President affirmed that the US threats will not discourage Syria from commitments to its principles and firm stances and combating terrorism backed by regional and Western countries, especially the US. For his part, Dr. Prajurdi expressed the support of the Iranian leadership and people for Syria in face of the aggression. In related context, Chairman of the Foreign Policy and National Security Committee at the Iranian Shura Council, Alauddin Prajurdi, said that any military aggression against Syria will spill over to the whole Middle East region. At a press conference at the Iranian embassy in Damascus, Prajurdi pointed out that instead of playing with fire, the Americans should go down the road of political solution, noting that the Americans' miscalculations have placed them in a predicament that they are struggling to emerge from, adding that Obama's administration should not have succumbed to the pressures of the Zionist lobby and the US administration hardliners. He pointed out that the visit of the Iranian Shura Council's delegation to Syria comes to support Syria as being a key player of the axis of resistance, to voice strong opposition to any military aggression against Syria and to condemn the use of toxic gases against the Syrian people. He affirmed that, contrary to their claims, Americans supported terrorism in the region, causing the persistence of the crisis in Syria, which has entered in its third year, and claimed the death of thousands of innocent lives. Russia asserted that proofs offered by the United States concerning the claims that the Syrian authorities used chemical weapons are not convincing at all. The Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov said that the proofs offered by the Americans, the British, the French did not convince the Russian side. When Russia asked them for detailed proofs, they said such proofs were secret. Mr. Lavrov asserted again that Russia and China want to see a solution of the crisis in Syria through negotiations. Both countries called for solving disputes according to the UN Charter. A Russian military source announced that the surveillance ship belonging to the Russian Navy in the Black Sea left its location in the port of Sevastopol to carry a special mission in the East Mediterranean area. The ship would not join the Russian ships in the area, but it would work directly according to plans of the General Staff of the Russian Army. China expressed concern over any unilateral military move against Syria, calling upon the American president not to hasten to take any decision to intervene without listening to the implications of such action in the American Congress. China called upon all parties concerned to show patience until the appearance of the results of the investigation carried out by the UN experts in Syria. It also called upon those experts to carry out a neutral and objective investigation and to consult the Syrian government. Iran renewed its rejection of military intervention in Syria, stressing the necessity of finding a political solution to the crisis. The Iranian attitude was expressed by the Foreign Minister Mohammad Jawad Zarif in a telephone call with the UN Secretary General. He announced Iran's readiness to find a political solution to the crisis and condemned the use of chemical weapons. The United Nations Secretary General also called for a political solution to the Syrian crisis. The Venezuelan Foreign Minister Elias Milano asserted his rejection of the use of force against Syria in his meeting with the Iranian Foreign Minister in Tehran. He stressed the necessity of using political methods and dialogue to solve the crisis instead of waging war. The Iranian Foreign Minister expressed appreciation of the attitudes of the countries of Latin America and the Caribbean against the war. He asserted that the use of force would be illegal and would violate world peace and security. A military source said that an army unit ambushed Jabhat al-Nusra-linked terrorist group while trying to infiltrate into the eastern Ghouta via Admir, Adra, Maida'a Road, Damascus countryside. Most members of the group were eliminated in the operation. In Aleppo, an army unit destroyed several terrorist cars loaded with weapons on Deir Hafir al-Imam road on the countryside of the city. Another car loaded with mortar shells was destroyed in Al-Layramoun in the city of Aleppo. United States President Barack Obama has launched an intensive lobbying effort on Capitol Hill to gain lawmakers' approval for his proposal of a military strike against Syria. A White House official affirmed that Obama and Vice President Joe Biden intensified calls with members of the House of Representatives and Senate in an attempt to convince the members who oppose his military strike against Syria. The majority of the Americans oppose Obama's unilateral strike because of its repercussions at all levels. With this, we come to the end of our news for today. For more details, you can visit our website in English, www.syriaonline.sy. Stay with us after the break, the latest in economy and finance in our economic news.